Hello everyone. Okay, hope you can hear me, see me. Unit 7 lesson 2. Okay. Sorry about that last lesson. All right, I didn't charge my recorders. Where is it? There it is. Okay. All right, so we're dealing more with parabolas and reflecting of parabolas across the x and y axis, and how to determine that without necessarily always having to graph it. So we look at this first exercise, and the parabola is graphed for you. And I have it on my screen here as well on the calculator. Now consider the function g of x equals negative f of x. So determine a formula for g of x and graph it on the grid. So if it was negative f of x, it would be negative f of x, which is x squared minus 6x plus 5. You could put that in your calculator if you wanted to. Just be careful of the parentheses. Or, and this would be g of x, or you could distribute the negative and have negative x squared plus 6x minus 5. Okay, either one of those will work. But as you can see, I already put it in the calculator, all right, for you to look at. And then there it is. Okay, the red is the graph of it. And then if you wanted to, which they tell you to, graph it on the grid, you would go to the table, and I found the vertex first. So the vertex was 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, maybe I'll use a different color. And then we had these values here and here. These values were the same. And then you had a value down here at 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. And then this one here as well. Okay, so it looks something like that, and it's a parabola. Okay, so how was the graph of f transformed to produce the graph of g? Okay, what happened? It was a reflection over the x-axis. So you could write that down, reflection over the x-axis. Okay, letter C, now consider the function h of x, f of negative x. Determine the formula for h of x. Okay, so with h of x, what happens here is you put a negative x in parentheses, every place you see an x. So it's negative x squared minus 6 times negative x plus 5, which becomes, if it's a negative x to an even power, it stays the same, whatever it was. And then this one changes, and the constant, of course, stays the same. So I have my h of x equals, okay? And I'll go ahead and put that in the graph. Okay, you can see I have it up there. And then when I enter it, oh, there it is. Okay, so we probably want to graph that one as well, and graph it on the grid above. So this stayed the same. I'll go to green. This one is here. This one is here. There. And again, you're getting these from looking at the table for now. Okay? So you look at the table, you found all those values to plug in. Okay, and there it is. Now, what some of you probably saw me do was look at the graph that's in black ink. Okay? Because what happened, I already know what's going to happen, is it is going to be reflected over the y-axis. Okay? So there are your two reflections you see. One is reflected over the x-axis. One is reflected over the y-axis. Okay? And here are your reflecting functions. So if I have a negative in front of the entire function, it's a reflection in the x-axis. If I plug in a negative x, every place I see an x, it's a reflection in the y-axis. Okay, so that's why I knew what was going on. You could just look at the existing graph or the first graph you drew. Okay, exercise 2, determine an equation for the linear function after a reflection in the x-axis and the y-axis. So the x-axis first. Okay, I don't know what to call it. It'll be g of x. I'll just say y. Okay, since they have g of x is 5x minus 7. So if it's a reflection in the x-axis, what we do is we have a negation of the entire equation, which would be negative 5x plus 7. Okay, that would be it. All right, if we have the y-axis, all right, we plug in, and I'm going to have another y here, 5 negative x minus 7, so it becomes negative 5x minus 7. So the first one you have the negation in front, distribute it through. The second one you have to put a negative x in for every place you see an x. Okay. Exercise 3. If a parabola has the equation 2x squared minus 3x plus 8, which of the following represents its equation after reflection over the x-axis? Okay. X-axis means that it gets distributed. There it is, okay, which is choice 2, okay? Reflection in the y-axis. That means that a negative x goes in for every x you see. Now, I mentioned it earlier. When it's an even power, it stays the same. So this stays as 4x squared. When it's an odd power, it's the power of 1, it changes, opposite sign, so it becomes a plus 7x. Then the constant stays the same. So you have a 4x squared plus 7x plus 2, which is choice 3. Okay? We're moving right along. A little better than that 23-minute video you saw yesterday or a couple days ago, whenever. Okay, so consider the function g of x equals negative x squared plus 4. What two transformations have occurred to the graph of y equals x squared to produce the graph of g? And the transformation, or they occurred, and there exists more. Yep, okay. All right, so if you want to verify in your calculator, that's fine, okay? Y equals x squared looks something like this, okay? And the y equals negative x squared plus 4 will look something like this. And that will be 4, okay, when you put in your calculator. So what happened? The negative, okay, the negative in front of it says that it is reflected over the x-axis. So number 1 is reflected, sorry about my writing, over the x-axis. So it's a little test for people who don't listen to me, don't have the volume on. They're going to say, what does this say? Okay, reflected over the x-axis. That's the first thing. Second thing, the plus 4, that means that it shifted up 4 units. Okay, so that's fine. All right, now here we are again with a graph. You have no idea. This could be a part 1 question. So they give you the graph of f of x. They want you to sketch the graph of the negative f of x and the graph of f of negative x in parentheses. So the negative f of x is A. I'll do that one first. That is a reflection over the x-axis. So we just count. So here this is 2 above, 2 below, 2 above, 2 below. This is 3. Oh, okay, here we are. And then this one here is 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, and this is 5, and then this is 6. Okay, but this one here has to reflect, so it goes up here. 1, 2, 3 units, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So it looks like that. Okay? So there it is. So that is your negative f of x. All right? Now, the second one is f of negative x in parentheses. That's a reflection over the y-axis. So this one stays the same. This one goes here. This one is here. This one goes here. And then this. And then what do we have? This one goes right there. And the final one over here on the left side comes all the way over here. So it goes like that. Okay? There you go. And so this is f of negative x. That's your graph. Okay? So in a nutshell, that's it. All right? So, and you can always use your graph, all right, to put it in, see what it looks like. Sometimes they'll, give you a picture that you have to understand what's going on. So, hopefully it was good. You understood it. If you have any questions, see me in class, and we'll just keep moving along. All right. See you in class.